Good morning, Pi Sigma Omega. This is awesome where you guys do a collaboration with the city of Cerritos. Actually, we've never had an Arbor Day planting in the time that I've been here. My name's Bino. I'm the city's arborist / tree supervisor. So I'll be doing the talk here today and helping you guys out with this. With me today, what I have is I'll start with my crew. I got Vince. I have Ralph, Juan, and another Juan. And there's Alejandro somewhere around here. And my son Noah's right here on a camera. He's visiting. And with me, I have Don Hodel. He's one of my tree professional idols. He's definitely. He's published about 6 books. He used to work at University of California Cooperative Extension for about 36 years. He's really a big heavy hitter when in the tree community. He's agreed to come here and plant some trees. He has a grove of trees that he brought for us to plant here, and actually they're looking really great. He brought a few more, and he's agreed to do a talk on the benefit of trees. So after he talks on the benefit of trees, what next I'll do is I'll do an explanation of how to plant the trees, and my guys are going to help me with that, and then we'll go to it. Before that, I wanted to give to Tanel. Oh, the city has this for you guys. It's a thank you, and it's a certificate. It's from City Council, signed by our mayor, with a collaboration of the Arbor Day planting at Liberty Park. With that, I'm going to ask if Don will speak on the benefit of trees, and we'll start with that.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. I won't take too much of your time because I know you're all eager to plant trees.
Yes.
But as Bino said, I used to work for the University of California in their division of Agriculture and Natural Resources in what is called Cooperative Extension. That's the same part of the university that runs a 4-H program and community gardening and that sort of thing. And I was based in Los Angeles for all my 36 years. And my job was to work with the professional tree care industry, doing research and education for them. And I also worked with homeowners, like yourselves. And I really loved my job. In fact, now I retired 4 years ago, but I'm still kind of doing my job because I like it so much. And Bino also said that I had planted some trees here about 7 years ago. I can't stop growing trees because I love trees, and I'll tell you why in a few minutes. But I started growing trees and had them on my driveway, and my wife got mad and she said, I can't even get the car in the backyard now. You got to do something with these trees. So I started looking around for places to plant them in parks in Cerritos, Lakewood, Long Beach, and Seal Beach. So I called this project Southeast Trees because it was southeast part of LA County. And I would donate and plant these trees in these various parks in these cities. And we've planted almost 300 trees now.
Wow.
And many of the trees you see down here, the smaller ones, were ones that we planted in 2017. So they're almost 6 years old. And they're doing really well because they use reclaimed water here, and there's basically no limit on how much water they put on. So I love planting trees at this park because they really pour the water on, and the water usually has a little bit of nitrogen in it because it's reclaimed. And the trees seem to love it, most of them. So the importance of trees. We often take trees for granted when we drive around our urban area and we're looking around, and trees are everywhere. I wish there were more of them, and hopefully there will be more of them. But we have a lot of pressure now, mainly water. Despite this wet winter, we're not out of the long-term limitations of water in California, but we can breathe a sigh of relief for a year or two. In fact, I was convinced that if we didn't have a rainy winter, they probably would have banned outdoor irrigation in California if we had another one of our dry winters, because we were really getting low. But because we've grown up with trees, we've seen trees everywhere. We often take them for granted. What do they give us? And that's a kind of a rhetorical question for you folks. And I'd like your participation. What are some of the benefits of trees to you?
Oxygen.
Sure. Trees, and there are two parts to that. Trees produce oxygen, and they also take in carbon, which we got to get rid of. Otherwise, we're going to continue to heat up. So they're taking in carbon in form of carbon dioxide, and they're producing water and oxygen. Great. What else do trees do? Yes.
It gives homes for animals.
They provide habitat for animals. That's right. And I love animals, so I love trees too. And trees provide habitat. What else do trees do for us? Shade. And that's becoming more important all the time. We need shade in our ever heating environment, ever warming environment. And there's a flip side to that too. In the wintertime, if they're deciduous trees that naturally drop their leaves, they allow sunlight to come through, which can actually lower heating bills because the natural sunlight will help to heat the house. So that's a benefit of a deciduous tree. What other kinds of things do trees do? Ornaments. Exactly.
My favorite part.
trees look nice. They provide ornament. And they have a psychological effect too. There were studies done on this where people's sense of well-being was significantly increased when they had trees in their neighborhood versus no or just a few trees. So that's kind of an intangible benefit, but it's definitely a benefit. Yeah. There's also an economic benefit. Trees increase property values. So if you're fortunate enough to own your own house, which many of us aren't anymore, but trees on your property will increase its value. What else can trees do?
Grow fruit.
Food production, exactly.
And mulch.
And they provide mulch. The leaves that drop from trees, we don't need to throw them in the trash. In fact, we should rake them up and spread them out underneath the tree and underneath other plants in your garden or landscape. Yeah, mulch is great. It's natural. I've been in many forests in the world, and no one's there raking up the leaves and dumping them, because as the leaves break down, they release nutrients for the tree. There must be a few other things, but you folks have covered them really well. Anybody have any other things we could mention about trees?
They make paper.
Yeah. Make paper.
Oh, paper, yeah. We can climb them. When I was young, when I was young, there was no tree in the neighborhood that I didn't get to the top of. My parents got really mad at me. But so the trees provide recreational opportunities for young children. And there's some functional uses in the landscape. You can use trees to block off a neighbor that you don't like. But as we're planting the trees today, try to think about some of the benefits this tree is going to provide later on in life. I mean, trees are a long-term investment. We put them in and you think, oh, I'm not getting any benefit from this tree yet. But it's a long-term, it's a long haul. And we have to keep that in mind, that eventually it's going to pay off, and it's going to pay off handsomely to have that tree. Okay, Bino, you want to?
I'm up.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Thank you, Don. Thank you. Thank you. So next we're going to talk about the best way to plant a tree. So maybe somebody can give me a hand. Guys, come over. So the first thing I want to talk about is when we're planting container trees, what happens in the nursery is a lot of times they'll water the containers and they'll push water out. And then what happens after they push the water out of the container, then they come back and they throw more soil in the tree. So what happens is you don't have the right grade when you're going to plant the container. So if you just take this out of the pot and you put it in the hole and you use that grade, you might not be right. So what we want to do is go ahead and go down, and we're going to look for the roots, like some of the main roots. Slide that out. Wow, that just kind of collapsed, didn't it? Okay, so see if you can find some of the bulging roots of it, Vince. Like go to the top. Just stand it up like that and then see if you can find, so pretty much, see if you can find one of the main roots there. Okay, so like right there where that bump is, right? So we're gonna say that where that bump is, that's gonna be our starting grade. That's where we wanna plant that. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get a shovel and we're gonna dig to that. So you wanna see if you can measure that with your shovel to that bump. And then we're gonna use a stake to show the level about the soil level. So what he has to do is only take about maybe 2 to 3 inches away from the center of that hole. So you want to see if you can open that up a little bit more.
Is that the same with like fruit trees?
Any tree. So what you want to do is find the main roots, and then you're gonna plant it at that level. So any container tree that you have, unless it was all washed away, if you see that all the roots, all the soil's washed away and you could see the big roots, well then you might put more soil in or have it a little bit lower. But you definitely want to have those structure roots right at the grade.
Okay.
Yeah. And what you don't want to do is when you're digging the hole, you don't want to make it over deep. Because when you make it over deep, now that area that you made too deep can do settling. So if it settles in time, it can have that root ball go shallow, right? Or go deeper, not shallow, go deeper. And then what you'll tend to do is throw soil over it to make that fill in that hole. So what we want to try to do is kind of keep that at the right depth. Try not to go too deep. When you think you got it around, do that measurement again. And you want to use the stake because it's a real clean level. You want to try to put your soil off to one side. What you don't want to do is throw a ring around it and then try to measure, because then you're going to be on the berm. If you put soil on the edge, it's going to raise the grade of your hole, right? So if you have all the soil on, say, that bag, and then when you do the cleanup, it'll be a lot easier. Okay, and now what they're going to do is they're going to get some soil and they're going to start spreading it around the hole, and then they're going to firm it up. I'm not sure if their foot will be able to fit in there, but they'll firm it up in lifts. So you'll put a little bit of soil in there, and then with your foot or the back of the shovel, the handle, you're gonna like push all the air out. You're not gonna stomp it, but you wanna firm it up. So it's gonna get rid of any air pockets. You definitely don't wanna have air pockets when you're planting, because if you have air pockets, what can happen are a number of things. It may hold water, or it may not have enough, or it may leave an area where the roots underneath could die. And if that happens, then you have roots starting to die, then the tree will go, won't live very well. You want to use the other side? Alrighty.
And you don't need to water it as you...
Well, usually we always do it at the end. I've seen where some people will try to water it as you go. What happens when you try to firm it up, now you got a horrible mess. You know, there's some people that recommend watering it as you go. We've never done it. In about the 20 years that I've been here, every tree that we plant in this way, we've done really well at keeping our trees. What we will do tonight, we're gonna have irrigation come on, and all these trees are gonna get watered.
How often do they need watering?
In the summertime, we would say at least maybe if it's really hot in the summer, maybe 2 to 3 times a week. But the tree will really tell you. If you start seeing the tree wilt, it's a good idea to water around the base of the tree. And in watering, you're not just gonna sprinkle. You wanna put it on really slow, like at the hose, and you're gonna turn it on really slow. You want the root ball to get filled up, and you want the water to percolate down slowly. It could be...
Did you talk about this nursery snake?
Not yet.
Okay.
So in the summer, if you see the wilting, then it's a good time to water. After 6 months or so, you might be able to do it maybe once a week or maybe even less. If you have an irrigation system in your property, you know, you just want to make sure you get it through the summertime. Also, after we get to this point, we would normally make a berm around this. I don't know if we're going to leave berms here because we get a lot of irrigation. The next thing what we would do is these ones, since they're young, we're going to triple stake them. We're probably not going to do the tying of them, not till next week. Today, what we're just going to do is get them all in the ground. We'll probably put stakes around to protect them. We normally want to take this nursery stake off. So this is not good to keep on the tree. But today, and for all of these, we're going to leave them. And then next week at our leisure, we're going to take them off and we're going to put them and tie them the proper way. What happens with the nursery stake, especially with a square or rectangular one, the tree gets shaded on one side. So what happens with the tree is when it's shaded, the cells elongate. So what happens is you get a tree that has a bow, right? When you leave it in this way and it grows that way, when you take the stake off of it, it stays there for too long, the tree is going to have this bow that you can't get rid of. And that's because it was shaded too long on that side of the trunk. So the idea is that once we get it planted and we're going to stake it, we take that nursery stake off so the tree can have its reaction wood. So believe it or not, when the wind blows and there's like movement in the air, the tree creates wood, reaction wood to what the environment gives it. So that's what you really want. Two, what we're also going to do is we're going to let this tree let some of these water sprouts on the trunk. In the nursery, what they tend to do is they tend to scalp everything off and just leave a little bit on top. Not good for trees. What you want to have are branches at the base, because what happens is what you want in a tree is for it to have a good trunk flare. So I don't know if you will see the bottom of the tree should be out and swooping out. That is a good trunk flare. So the tree can gain girth by the more branches that you have in that area. So nurseries tend to just take them off because they want to make them tall and look like you're going to buy something big. Not always great to buy something big. If you can start with young and plant it in the ground and let it grow, it's better. So what we'll let them do here is we'll let some of those sprouts come out and we're going to maintain them for a while. We might just like cut them back so they just stay not too long. But in time, like we're going to have like a 6-foot canopy. But it'll take us time to do that. Yeah.
So this one,
Yes.
I see it's kind of planted in a circle. Is that so this area can just become this shaded?
Yeah, well, this is kind of like a grove. So we started right here with, these are called Chinese fringe trees. And in this area, we're just kind of all like a grove. Now we also planted along the side, we're planting some red buds to kind of be like a barrier to the street. And then over on that fence over there, the fence line, we're planting some crepe myrtle muskogees. That's going to kind of be like a barrier to that wall. And then over by the playground, we've got about 5 more crepe myrtles just to fill in that area there.
Okay.
And then Don had brought some of his trees right here. We're going to add to that special grove of trees. Great. Anybody have any questions? Yes.
Out of curiosity, you talked about the growth and everything.
Yes.
How long does that take?
For a tree to get large? Well, so this one's probably going to max at around 25 feet. And it could take some time. Here in the park, it'll probably do pretty good. It could take maybe 8-10 years. But you know, and a lot of times it would depend on like the environment of the tree. If we water it a lot, you know, if well, not too much, because if you water a tree too much, you could kill it. We don't want to do that. But if it gets everything that it needs, they can, you know, maybe 2 to 3 feet a year or so. But you know, it depends too. And every tree has different sizes. So, I mean, if you plant a tree that's something that can get 90 feet, there's a good chance maybe in 5 years it'll be huge, right? But if you're going to buy a tree that's going to be small in its ultimate life, well, it'll take a lot longer to get higher. And then it'll only reach to its max height, usually. Right? All righty. Any more questions? All right. Oh, yeah. That'll be good. Yeah, we're gonna be doing our best to. So what I'm thinking is, if we could, if you guys want to work in groups, that's fine. I was thinking that maybe we could start with this side here and then work our way down to that. And there's no pressure. Whatever we get planted today is what we get planted. All righty. All righty.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Let's head to it.